Smartphone bans are a huge missed opportunity. Many schools ban smartphones entirely or banish them to lockers. And for students that are caught on the gram at school, there are so many punishments, detention, maybe even suspensions. We need to radically rethink the job that our smartphones are fulfilling. Technology is already ubiquitous. Smartphones are used by businesses for effective marketing, management, communications, and operations. And today's students will inherit an even more connected world, an even more technologically savvy world, an even more fast-paced world than ever before. The speed of change is only getting faster. According to NYU's Professor Scott Galloway, it took the telephone 75 years to reach 50 million users. It took the TV 14 years, the internet took 4 years, and just 35 days for Angry Birds. Yeah. I see someone, an Angry Bird fan in the crowd. Okay. Oh, you don't want to admit it now? Okay. Nice. In this digital age, change is really the only constant. The workforce is expected to master tools that may not have existed even a year ago. And using smartphones effectively will be a crucial, if not the crucial, life skill. We really can't prepare students for a technologically driven world without technology, and we can't prepare students for a smartphone-driven world without smartphones. So it's really time to reconsider smartphone bans. Why not redirect the energy spent reprimanding students for phone use towards re-engaging students via phone use, towards speaking to students when, where, and how they want to be spoken to? I'm a co-founder of an app called Küdzoo. Students are able to submit their report cards, good grades, academic achievements, and good habits to get a currency that they can redeem for real-time rewards. We had a student who had been asking for his particular reward on our app, Küdzoo. By asking, I mean tweeting, DMing, emailing numerous times a day. When we finally posted the reward, she redeemed it. It was a $100 gift card to Walmart, which takes at least a semester of very high engagement to earn. We were really proud that she achieved her goal, but a couple days later, she tweeted this picture. She had given her gift card to her parents for groceries. We didn't realize it at the time that she was asking, but she actually utilized her smartphone and her academic achievements to treat her parents and bring joy to her home. Now, I know what most of you, or some of you, are thinking. We need to ban smartphones because they're a major distraction. In fact, when we look at reasons for smartphone bans, a common word used is distraction. But just because something is a distraction doesn't mean it should be banned. Bear with me on this, but back in my day, this was a form of communication. Some of you may not know what this is because it's now extinct, but it's a handwritten note, and we would communicate with friends and, yeah, even crushes with it. Do you know what we used to write it? A pen and paper. This, you could think, is a distraction as it took away from our studies. But have any schools banned pen and paper? Not to the best of my knowledge. The question is why? Because a pen and paper's value to the learning process considerably outweighs its potential for distraction. It's the same thing with smartphones. Smartphones can really help the learning process. And distractions aren't necessarily bad. A lot of innovation happens at the verge. Distractions are a way of helping us draw connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. Being interrupted can help us see things in new ways. And it's not just me who thinks so. Jesse Stommel, the director of teaching and learning at University of Mary Washington, has found that distractions are necessary for, quote, peak learning experiences, like making connections, having epiphanies, and understanding abstract concepts. I learned the power of a meaningful distraction from one of my students in a class I used to teach in West Philadelphia. It was a class on entrepreneurship, and as an older millennial, I was quickly humbled to realize I no longer knew what was cool. So any chance I got, I loved getting feedback from this next generation, the younger millennials, as well as Generation Z. I asked them what kind of rewards they wanted to see on Küdzoo. And as I turned around from the whiteboard, I noticed one student just completely disengaged from the activity. He was scrolling through his phone, so teachers, naturally, you know what I did? I called on him. As he looked up, he was on Instagram, and he landed on the NBA page, so he sarcastically blurted out, "I would love to meet LeBron James." Any other situation that would have called for thanks for chiming in, I'll call his agent. But in this situation, it actually inspired us to provide experiential rewards on the Küdzoo app. Now, corporate tours, celebrity meet and greets, as well as once-in-a-lifetime experiences can all be redeemed on Küdzoo, thanks to this distraction. Now, I'm not saying smartphones should be used all the time. If technology is integrated in the classroom, it's really important to designate time for students to unplug. This allows students to recognize that it's useful to learn different things at different times in different ways. Isn't this really the type of metacognitive learning that true learning is all about? Some time unplugged can also make phones an even more effective in-class tool when they're used. Students can use their smartphones to look up a confusing term, like I do all the time, like with metacognitive. I learned it means thinking about thinking. Students can post a survey on social media and quickly collect primary data from their peers when it has to do with a classroom discussion. They can also submit a group project via the cloud. Smartphones can also help to improve students' productivity in other ways. They allow bite-sized learning or micro-learning approaches. Students can engage with their coursework anytime, anywhere. This, according to a study done by Energizing Learning, means that knowledge is more easily learned, reinforced, and retained with the help of mobile learning. In addition, software can enable homework to dynamically adapt to the needs of different students. If a student is struggling in a certain area, the software can detect that and automatically give students more help in that area. And teachers can see this in real time and track students' progress. So smartphones can be beneficial for teachers too. Plus, if we embrace smartphones in education, it'll unleash innovation. Entrepreneurs will develop even more ways to help teachers. This is the kind of innovation we need. Okay, that may be biased because like most entrepreneurs, I tend to think I have the next big idea quite often. It's probably not a surprise. But this delusion is often sobered by my big brother, who's Great Valley class of 2004 and also a high school English teacher. He has the not so enviable task of entertaining my ideas, but he also has the artful talent of bringing me back down to reality. It's important for entrepreneurs to continue trying to think of new ways related to education. But those ideas need to be about supporting teachers, not adding to their workload. At Küdzoo, we refuse to say we are disrupting education. We like to say we're empowering it. What needs disruption is society's obsession with disruption. To wrap up, in the past, a mark of an educated person was how much they knew. In the future, the mark of an educated person will be how much they admit they don't know, and how they can access, filter, and learn new information. Educators, please consider how technology can add value to your dynamic classroom. Hold EdTech to a higher standard. Change it from being an extra tab on your computer to something that bridges the communication and engagement gaps with your students. Students, I encourage you to make a deliberate decision to change your smartphone usage. You have the responsibility to turn your smartphone into a resource. The power is in your choice and how you allocate your valuable time. You can use your screen time to learn a couple languages, be up to date on SAT prep, learn how to code, apply for scholarships. It's really endless. And let's be real, we're all still going to probably use social media. May I just ask that you don't compare your life to the highlight reel on the feed from friends and celebrities. They don't post the pimple they just got or a test they failed. They post their best selves. So be kind to yourself. Find fulfillment in who you are, not what you swipe. So use smartphones with self-awareness, use them in a way that is time well spent, and get help to use them productively. In conclusion, let's harness the power of smartphone distractions for good. Let us lessen mindless consumption and feed mindful consumption. Let's utilize education technology as assets rather than liabilities. And let's give people the tools they need to succeed. As Steve Jobs said, technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people, that they're basically good and smart, and if you give them tools, they'll do wonderful things. So take your tool and do wonderful things. Thank you.